All right, in this video, we'll look at the new features of the wave editor. And I guess the first thing to look at is a new tool under here, which is a standalone wave editor. So you don't need to launch it from a PCM, Synth, or Beatbox, or vocoder. You can just, if you just want to do a bit of recording, this will let you record up to about 5 minutes. And then you can use this to shape sounds and then use them later, or just build up your sample collection. So first up is stereo file support. So if we load up a file that's stereo here, you'll see both sides. Now, all the operations you do will affect both sides linked. So there's no independent editing just yet, but there's now support for editing stereo files. And this will also support stereo recording if your device has stereo capabilities. The recordings coming in will also be stereo. I'll load up a simpler mono file here and to show you one of the new things, which are effects. So you've got a little effect slot here, and you can place any of the effects used in Caustic into your wave editor and then bake them into your file. So this is an offline operation. This isn't part of the machine which is launching the wave editor. Obviously, this is just going into your wave file, and this is a tool to modify wave files. So if I choose, well, let's just listen to what we've got first. And so if I place a bit crusher on that, I'll just set it to loop so that I can play with my bit crusher. And so you'll notice the waveform here just looks like before, and there's a note that the waveform has not been modified. The waveform you see doesn't include the effect. That's only done once you apply. So you're free to fiddle around with this, and you can still bypass the effect and remove them. But once you've got something you like, then you apply it, and then it modifies the waveform. So now we've got that effect as part of that waveform. So if I save that file or confirm if I'm using an instrument, that goes in and gets used. So from there you can keep adding new effects, if you want to. If you want to remove them, no harm done. So if you place a stereo effect, like let's say I'll set up this stereo chorus. Now if I apply this, I'll get a stereo result. Now another cool new feature in Caustic 3.2's sample editor is a new tool for time stretching and pitch shifting. So this is time stretching without affecting pitch and pitch shifting without affecting time. So the two are independent. So to do this, I've licensed 2 different algorithms, and you can switch between them. And so I've just got this, my voice here recorded, and you'll excuse the sample if it gets on your nerves.
Hello, how are you? Hello, how?
So if I go to my pitch time, and then I've got controls, so I've set the algorithm to rubber band right now, and I'll show you the other one later. But we've got independent pitch controls and time controls. So you can set the pitch using octave, semis, and cents, or if you want to convert a note that you know is a certain note and you want to go to a different one, you can use that, or you can just use percentage. They all map to kind of the same thing. So if I set this to play and play around with it.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Hello.
So that would be the pitch shifting, and then if I reset that to no pitch shift, and then we'll play around with time and see what that does. So similarly, you get just raw time, and so you got coarse and fine increments on final time. You've got BPM control, so if you've got a beat that you want to port from one BPM to another, you can use this, or you can just use percentage if you know what you're doing.
Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
So I've set it to go to a much longer time.
How are you?
Or shorter.
Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
So the 2 different algorithms, they both have their uses. Rubber band has a preview mode that doesn't sound quite as good as when you apply it. So don't always rely on the preview to choose which one you're going to use. Sometimes the rubber band final result is a lot better than in preview, and sometimes they kind of match up. The SoundTouch is a simpler algorithm, and it's usually good for things like solo voices, whereas rubber band tends to do a bit better on full drum loops and things like that. So sometimes with SoundTouch, you get a bit of clicking from the way it works, and rubber band gives you a bit of phasing. So it kind of depends on the application, but you're free to switch even between the two while it's playing to get an idea of which one will give you the better result.
Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello.
So you can hear in this case, SoundTouch would probably do a better job. So let's say that's what I wanted. I can apply that. And I've got a new waveform, and it's shorter.
Hello, how are you?
And then you can go on from there. Another tool I've included is the ability to detect tempo, BPM. So if you want to use it in conjunction with the time shifter, to know what BPM you're starting from when you do the time shift, this can be useful. So if I've got this loop, and I believe I created this at 120 BPM, you just either use a selection and a bit that's representative of the beat you want, or the whole thing if you set it to nothing. But you can just press detect BPM, and it gives you a best guess reading. It's pretty good. It's not perfect. So, use your judgment, but it's a pretty nifty tool to use in conjunction with time shifting. Another little workflow improvement is the addition of a time ruler down here. So when you're doing either cursor work, you can use the ruler either to give you an idea of the time. So right now it's set to seconds, and you can also set it to beats, and that'll calibrate to whichever song is loaded in the rack and its BPM. But if you're using this, you can use it to kind of get an idea of the sound, or you can actually turn on snapping here with lock, and then when you get close to a point, it'll snap to that point and give you kind of a sticky thing where you can precisely trim either using seconds or beats. It'll snap to the right grid, so as you zoom in, that'll update as well and respect the lines that are there. So that's it. Couple nice little improvements in the wave editor should help with making songs.